Hello, welcome to Scented Pages. Welcome back to my channel, baby. I have an update for you. I have some books I want to talk about. I've read 4 of them and they were really good. I read a Frida McFadden, a Massey, and a couple of other books. And then also I want to discuss what I have read, what I'm currently reading, and what I plan on reading when I finish what I'm currently reading. So let's get into it. But first, of course, I want to do the perfume. Look at that beautiful bottle. It's Candies, right? So let me show you. This is so sweet and summer scented. Oh my goodness, it smells like a bowl of fruit. A bowl of tropical fruit. When I was a little girl, I remember being obsessed with Candies brand. I loved their shoes. They used to have these really cute wooden heeled shoes, like these wooden shoes, but the heel of them was wooden and the top of them would be in all these cute like colors. They were kind of almost like jellies. Like they were kind of clear, but then like the ones from back in the 70s weren't. The ones back in the 70s, they still had that signature wooden heel, but they were more of a solid shoe on the top. But the ones when I was a young girl in the 90s that I always saw had that wooden heel, but the top of the shoe was like a clear, kind of almost like a jelly type of shoe. But they were so cute and sexy, and I was obsessed. I could not wait to grow up and wear me a pair of Candies shoes. So Candies top notes, the main accords are fruity, sweet, tropical, fresh citrus. This is definitely a summer outside fruit bowl type scent. I love it. It smells so good. It's one of my favorites. Perfect for the summertime. Perfect for the spring. It was released in 2021. It opens with notes of pink currant, kiwi, tart kiwi, and pineapple pulp. And then it also follows with jasmine and pear blossom notes. Oh, wow. Yes. This is the kind of vibe of this is summertime. Summertime. That's what this smells like. 90s summer girl. Even though it was released recently, it smells like, oh, it could even be given. It's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. I ain't got no, and no, ain't got me. I like this song, but that's what this scent gives, that kind of being outside, and it's just summertime. I wouldn't say, yeah, I was about to say, I wouldn't say like a regular going to work scent, but honey, yeah, this smells good. It's not real overpowering because it's sweet and it's soft. So it has that nice soft base. So I could definitely see this as a work scent, as a scent that you could definitely wear around other people and in the public and not be cloying to them or to yourself. I really like it. Yay. Well, I've got my coffee and I just wanted to chit chat and catch up a bit because I have been so busy. I really like to try to put out a video like every 10 days or so, but when I tell you that life has been lifing, like I cannot understand what has been going on, because this is new for me, honey. I don't do stress at all. And this is the thing, like and that's just it. I'm feeling so much better physically, thank goodness. I am not depressed or mentally struggling with anything. I'm not depressed, but I'm stressed. So I guess that is a bit of a mental struggle because it's something definitely on my mind. It's stuff definitely on my mind. And it's a different kind of stress, honey, when you can really put your finger on what it is. That's so aggravating, but you know what? I'm going to be okay. I see light at the end of the tunnel. I know what I have to do to sort things out. It's just a matter of being patient and, yeah, not worrying meantime and in between time. So, as usual, if I don't want to worry, I usually take to my books and get to reading. And I love YouTube. Oh, it's so comforting to just read and watch YouTube videos, watch some of my favorite booktubers that are also really comforting and sweet. And I've just been kind of relaxing with my books. I'm a booktube and trying to, still make content. I don't want to fall behind in making any content because things are a little up in the air right now. Not me being frazzled. I don't do frazzled, honey. I do dazzle. That's what I like to do. I like to dazzle and relax and sparkle and be fun and me and not be frightened about things. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it. But I was reading 4 books. I've read 4 books these past couple of weeks. I've read, I read Dark Corner by Brandon Massey, Until You Are Mine by Samantha Hayes, which is right here. That was my physical read. God Don't Like Ugly by Mary Monroe, and The Tenant by Frida McFadden. I love me a Frida book. I'm a stay a Frida reader. I don't care what nobody say. Because this is the thing. Like, I know that she's not the perfect thriller suspense writer, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the quirky, the stupid, the fun, the things that won't make sense, because I just want to be entertained. But I'll get into that later when I get to the actual Frida book. I went off on a little tangent. Hold on. Oh, I'm trying to. Okay, so we did the perfume. Boop, boop, boop. The first book that I have is In the Dark by Brandon Massey. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. So the synopsis is, it began as their dream home, but soon became their worst nightmare. Lynn and Olivia Bowden have been seeking the ideal home in which to raise their daughter Kennedy. The classic Victorian in a historic Atlanta neighborhood had everything they were looking for. Lots of room in which to grow, friendly neighbors, and best of all, a bargain price, the result of a bank foreclosure. Hardly able to believe their good fortune, they move in and begin making plans for a promising future. Then the stranger arrives at their front door. An elderly man, strong and imposing in spite of his age. He claims that a con artist deceived him in a mortgage deal, leading to the foreclosure on the house into which they've moved. He asserts that the property still rightfully belongs to him, and he demands that they move out within 3 days, or else. When they refuse to give in to his demands, they are confident the incident will blow over, and they take reassurance in their legal rights to the home. But the disturbing confrontation with the old man is only the beginning. Doors open and shut on their own. Footsteps creak across the old floors, and young Kennedy is convinced that she sees monsters lurking in the shadows. As the incidents worsen, they realize that their very lives depend upon finding out what's really going on. But once they finally discover the shocking truth about the old house and its mysterious former resident, it may already be too late. A gripping thriller that deftly explores the supernatural invading the lives of an ordinary family. In the Dark is Brandon Massey at his riveting best. Love it. I love a good synopsis of the book. So my thoughts on it were, again, I gave it 5 stars. I said I really enjoyed this thriller. I didn't really write too much on this one because I already spoke a lot about Brandon Massey on my channel. And this was another good book by him. I couldn't put it down as usual. So read it. Definitely his creepiest read for me. All the scenes between Olivia and her brother and then Lynn and his ex-girlfriend were so creepy. Genuinely creepy and well done. I like the voodoo elements thrown into it with the man. And this one, however, was more of like a haunted, it had more of haunted house vibes than his other books. The poor baby Kennedy went through it. As soon as my baby would have been talking about she's seeing monsters and whatnot, it'd have been time to go. Post haste. Nothing to talk about, nothing to do, nothing I don't care. It'd have been time to go. Lynn and Olivia weren't particularly annoying. They were just trying to survive in this house that they bought without knowing the circumstances of it. And the man, honey, that shows up and wanting his house back, he don't give a damn about what they didn't know, about how legit their purpose was, or what contracts they've already signed. He said you had 3 days to vacate the premises. And honey, if he don't turn them every way but loose, I don't know what else he did. Definitely did. Definitely played with them, with their past traumas, all of that. He had something with him, and it was good. I enjoyed it. Loved it. 5 stars. In the Dark by Brandon Massey. Oh, also, let me show you my shirt and my earrings. My little book shirt that says, "Just a girl who loves books and coffee." I definitely do. And my cute little book earrings. So next is the book that I read, Until You're Mine. Oh, 5 stars. It was so good. And listen, this is the thing. A lot of my books on my channels are 5 stars. On my channel is 5 stars because I don't read books that I don't like. As soon as it's the first few or so pages, maybe the first 50 to 100 pages or so, as soon as I am not feeling it and it's boring, I don't continue to read it. So if I got through it, it was definitely because it was a 4 or 5, at least a 3 star. I don't read things that I don't like. So Until You're Mine by Samantha Hayes. It says, Claudia Morgan Brown finally has it all. Pregnant with a much-wanted first baby of her own, she has a happily established family of 2 small stepsons and a loving husband with a great career. But she is also committed to her full-time job as a social worker. And her husband travels often. So when Claudia hires Zoe to help her around the house in anticipation of the baby's arrival, it seems like the answer to her prayers. But despite Joey's glowing recommendations and instant rapport with the children, there's something about her that Claudia cannot trust. Moreover, there has been a series of violent attacks on pregnant women in the area, and Claudia becomes acutely aware of her vulnerability. With her husband out of town for work and her family far away, who will be there to protect her? And why does she feel unsettled about Zoe? Realizing appearances can be deceiving, even in her seemingly perfect world, Claudia digs deeper into Zoe's blurry past and begins to wonder, how far would someone go to have a child of their own? Riveting from its very first pages, Until Your Mine is a multi-layered masterwork of twisted psychological suspense. Readers of Before I Go to Sleep and Turn Off Mind will be enthralled by this multi-layer novel featuring a twisted plot that ends in breathtaking and shocking finale. And that it did. My breath was... it was gone. I couldn't breathe in because it snatched my breath away. It was so good. The end, not only was the twist twisting, and the end was good, but the whole book, the whole story really was good, except for the one little storyline involving detective, one of the detective's kids and this and that. I really wasn't too much interested in that. I didn't really care about it, but even that wasn't boring. So I said in my review, this is what I read. And I actually also went live a couple of times reading this book. I really, loved it. It was so good. I said this book was so enjoyable and it blew me away. I love it when a book is fun to read. Not just a good story, but the words are also fun to read on the page. This was one of those, the reason why I read books. It was so good. It's about a pregnant woman named Claudia and her family of her husband and his twin boys from a previous marriage where the wife died. And their new nanny, Zoe, and Detective Lorraine and her husband, Adam, who are both detectives, partners, and married with 2 daughters. They are investigating the murder of a pregnant lady and her baby, and the attempted murder of another pregnant lady where she survived the attack, but her baby did not. So while Claudia is waiting for the birth of her new baby, she and her husband James have hired Zoe as their nanny, since James will be gone for months on like a Navy ship or something. While he's gone, their new baby is supposed to be born. So honey, that's when they introduced Zoe into the mix, and it was so good. I can't really discuss a whole lot of it because talking about one thing in this book can actually give the whole thing away, which I don't want to do. So each chapter is told from the perspective of the 3 different ladies in the book: the wife Claudia, the nanny Zoe, and the detective Lorraine. Now, Detective Lorraine and her husband Adam, who was also a detective and her partner, like I said, have some personal relationship and family drama and things going on that honestly, while I was reading the book, like I said earlier, I really didn't care about until what was going on with Adam tied into the ending of the book, which was chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. I loved it. It was so good. This book was, I was just compelled to keep reading it, to want to keep picking it up and physically using my eyeballs and my brain to read it. That's always one of my markers as to whether or not a book is really, really good. You know, if it's not something that I don't desire to just kind of listen to or whatever, if I really want to sit down and I'm looking forward to reading it with my eyeballs and my brain, it's like, honey, that's a good book. And that's how this was. I enjoyed it. 5 stars. Put that to the side. Now, next, I'm going to talk about God Don't Like Ugly by Mary Monroe. Now, this book, I had started this series. This is a part of a series that I'm reading right now with my girlfriends. But this I had started years ago in like the early 2000s, like when I was in my early 20s. This was before I had my children and all that, and I love this book. I physically read it, and I stuck with the series for like 3 books out of the series, right? And then as time went on, she released like 3 more books in the series, but I had forgotten about it and moved on to other things. I just didn't think about it anymore until recently, when I was scrolling about wondering what to pick up next. And I was like, ooh, that was a really good series. And it's complete now, so I don't have to wait for the next book to come out. So I restarted it. And I started with God Don't Like Ugly. Again, 5 stars. New York Times best-selling author. Let me get a sip of my coffee. This is some good coffee, too. I got the Southern Butter Pecan Creamer. Delicious. So sweet and good. By International Delight. So it says, New York Times bestselling author Mary Monroe sweeps readers back to the streets, porches, and parlors of Civil Rights era Ohio to bring to life the first steps of an enduring friendship between 2 girls from opposite sides of the track. Annette Good is a shy, awkward, overweight child with a terrible secret. Frightened and ashamed, Annette withdraws into a world of books and food. My kind of girl. But the summer Annette turns 13, something incredible. Rhoda Nelson chooses her as a friend. Dazzling, generous Rhoda, who is everything Annette is not. Gorgeous, slim, and worldly, welcomes Annette into the heart of her eccentric family, which includes her handsome and dignified father, her lovely, fragile my dear, which is her mother. That's what she calls her mother, my dear. Her brooding, dangerous brother, Jock, and her colorful, white relatives, half-crazy Uncle Johnny, sultry Aunt Lola, and scary, surly Granny Goose. Rhoda is mixed. With Rhoda's help, Annette survives adolescence and blossoms as a woman. But when her beautiful best friend makes a stunning confession about a horrific childhood crime, Annette's world will never be the same. A coming-of-age journey depicted with wit, poignancy, and bite. And I loved it. You know, I love me a good early 1900s, even though this wasn't the early 1900s, it was more like 1950s, 1950s, 60s. But I love a good back in the day, back in the black and white times, coming of age, Southern coming of age story. Love it. They are my favorite stories to read, and this one was no exception. This one was excellent. I said this is one of my all-time favorite books. I had started this series in the early 2000s, but never got around to finishing it. I'm back on now because Rhoda, Annette, Scary Mary, and Mr. Boatwright are once again on my radar. I want to know how their story ends. So this is the story of Annette's tragic childhood in the 50s South. She was born in Florida and then moved to Ohio after her dad abandoned her and her mother for a white woman after he was a Black is Beautiful Martin Luther King type activist. Honey, a mess. Annette and her mother, Medea. Now, that could be a little bit confusing because Rhoda calls her mother Medea, but in the series, in the events of the book, after Rhoda takes Annette under her wing and begins to love her, then that's when Annette decides to start calling her mother Medea. So from now on, when you hear Medea, don't think of Rhoda's mother. Think of Annette's mother. That's what Annette calls her mother for the duration of the book and series. But she got it from Rhoda. Okay. Okay, so a mess. Annette and her mother Medea struggled, but the real struggle began after they moved to Ohio and her mom allowed a little random stranger to move into the house with them, Mr. Boatwright, the literal devil in the flesh, where she then proceeds to hand her daughter over to this man on a silver platter, practically, I'll say, telling him stuff like, you feel free to bop Annette upside the head as you see fit if she gets out of line, Mr. Boatwright. Now you mind Mr. Boatwright and do everything he say do. Child, I was so ticked with her. Then another character, she talking about something. My mother-in-law always telling me that a piece of a man is better than no man at all. Child, I'm so glad that a lot of women, I don't know, it was so much worse back then with the male thinking and the male-centered thinking. It was so much worse in the past. It was just disgusting. I'm glad that we have evolved. Maybe people have. I don't know. But anyway, I hated that old, outdated way of thinking. This book majorly missed an opportunity to have people take responsibility for their crimes. This book could have shown Black people how to heal from this type of trauma, but instead no one ever has to pay for anything they do. But also, with that being said, it does show a pretty real and accurate response for that time period and location to abuse victims and to men who perpetrate the crime. Annette was deathly afraid to tell her mother what was happening to her because she saw what happened to another girl who told when she was abused, when she was raped, and how the neighborhood people, including the women, blamed her. So that's why Annette didn't want to divulge her what she was going through, because that time period was just so unfair to women and to victims of crimes like that. They would say stuff in the book like, oh, she going to go and get herself raped. Like, what in the world? So Annette carried the secret with her for her entire life alone, and it shows. I won't say for her entire life, but for her entire childhood. It was until she confided in her best friend, Rhoda. So anyway, that manifested in her deep insecurities about her weight and appearance until she told her best friend, Rhoda. Now, Rhoda is my girl. I liked her so much, and Annette didn't deserve her as a bestie, in my opinion. Rhoda is a pretty, dark-skinned, long-haired girl from next door, and she's everything to Annette that, and Annette is, what? She's everything to Annette, and everything that Annette is not. That's what I said. She's everything to Annette and everything that Annette is not. And she is... No, I won't get into that because that's going to get the story away. Just read it. It was really, really good. God don't like ugly. I like to talk about the characters. So, I just discussed Annette and Rhoda, and Mr. Boatwright. But like I said, there's Pee Wee and Scary Mary. I'll get into them as I get further into the series as to who, like Pee Wee and Scary Mary, and even Annette's father that abandoned them comes back. I started the second book, but I'll talk about that later. Okay, lastly, The Tenant by Miss Frida McFadden. Blake Porter is riding high until he's not. Blake Porter is riding high until he's not. Fired abruptly from his job as a VP of marketing and unable to make the mortgage payments on the new brownstone that he shares with his fiancée, he's desperate to make ends meet. Enter Whitney, beautiful, charming, down-to-earth, and looking for a room to rent. She's exactly what Blake's looking for, or is she? Because something isn't quite right. The neighbors start treating Blake differently. The smell of decay permeates his home no matter how hard he scrubs. Strange noises jar him awake in the middle of the night, and soon Blake fears someone knows his darkest secrets. Danger lives right at home, and by the time Blake realizes it, it'll be far too late. The trap is already set. I gave this book 5 stars. I loved it. I thought it was excellent. I said I like this one just as much as The Crash and The Boyfriend. They were all good, but this one was giving everything that it was supposed to. Of course, there are little stupid and ridiculous things that Frida sometimes puts in her book that are silly, like in The Crash, when Tegan named her unborn baby Tuna and kept calling it and kept talking to it and speaking to it and replying to it, to her unborn baby, for the rest of the book. Now that did make me cringe. That was cringe because it was stupid. That was stupid. It served no purpose and it could have been left out. But also, I look at those types of unserious things Frida does as just added entertainment. Everything in her books doesn't have to be so serious and realistic because it's not that type of literature. It's more of a fun thriller and not like a serious thriller, like a James Patterson book. I said it makes sense. But back to The Tenant. I enjoyed this book. And again, I didn't think it was boring at all. I like the books in the movies when the action and the foolishness gets started right away. For me, and that's how it was in this book. Because as soon as Whitney moved in, she proceeds to psychologically F with Blake, and it is chef's kiss. Blake, seemingly out of nowhere, loses his job right away in the beginning of the book, which is unfortunate for him because him and his girlfriend Krista have just purchased a new home in New York. So they have a hard time now paying the mortgage. So they come up with the grand, stupid idea to house a tenant in one of their spare rooms. When the girl Whitney gets there, the mess hits the fan. Because the first thing this piece of crap Blake notices is how conveniently hot Whitney is. So at first, he and Whitney all up in the middle of the night, half dressed, watching TV watching TV on the couch in the living room, honey. They was nice and cozy. I was like, where is Krista? How is she okay with this, honey? She better than me. Nah! I said, but she was absent for like a lot of the book. And then at first he's like, yeah, go ahead. You can share my stuff and eat our food and stuff like that, huh? Until she goes overboard and uses all his stuff, and he has a hard time getting ready for work. And trying to find a job and this and that. When he was trying to find a job, he was going on an interview, and she had eaten up everything and used up all of his stuff. Instead of waiting for her to come home, he shows up at her job and tells her not to use his stuff anymore. So now, of course, everything goes to crap because they're just being ridiculous to each other, Whitney and Blake. And they just have an all-out war with one another. Now, so I'm thinking to myself, all-out war breaks out between Whitney and Blake, and now she ain't such hot shit anymore. But she was just attractive to you when y'all was on the couch watching TV in the middle of the night until she started to turn his life upside down. Now she ain't so cute. Now he want to be mad. Hilarious. All throughout the book, this girl is effing with him. There's this really rotten smell coming from somewhere in the house that he can't pinpoint where it's coming from, so he can get rid of it. And it's attracting a whole lot of fruit flies and stuff. She's also using scented detergent in the washing machine after he asks her not to because it bothers his skin. So now he's got this really horrible itchy rash all over his body because somehow his clothes keep getting scented stuff in it. Just somehow. Just no matter how much he changes detergents and washes out the washing machine, before he uses it, he still breaks out in a rash, and he has to end up going to like a different laundromat and stuff in order to wash his clothes so that he will stop breaking out. It's hilarious. Oh my goodness. And then she puts hair in his food. Oh, honey, we'd have had to fight. That's when we'd have had to get physical, because whose food you messing with? Not my food. A mess. And then also she kills their little goldfish. Krista and him had a cute little goldfish that she killed in the midst of all of this, and a bunch of other stuff too. There's a whole lot of other things. I didn't give it everything away. I didn't want to because I want you to read the book. So there's like 3 major twists in the end, and I like them. I like it when twists can kind of simultaneously bring everything together and also fall everything apart. Like make everything come together. And now, also at the same time, none of the book is what it was supposed to be. It's good. Read it, get to it, get through it, and you'll like it. I like it. 5 stars. So yay, that was that. So those were the books that I did read. So now let's discuss. Let's see how long. Oh, okay, we've been talking for too long. We can still chit chat some more. Now I want to discuss the books that I am currently reading. The Quiet Tenant, God Still Don't Like Ugly, which is book 2 in my series, and The Miracle of Our Universe, and this one, The New Neighbor by Carter Wilson. So I am listening to on audio The Quiet Tenant by Clemence Michelin, I think that's how you pronounce it. Aiden Thomas is a hardworking family man and a somewhat beloved figure in the small upstate New York town where he lives. He's the kind of man who always lends a hand and has a good word for everyone. But Aiden has a dark secret he's been keeping from everyone in town and those closest to him. He's a kidnapper and a serial killer. Aiden has murdered 8 women, and there's a 9th he has earmarked for Rachel, imprisoned in a backyard shed, fearing for her life. When Aiden's wife dies, he and his 13-year-old daughter, Cecilia, are forced to move. Aiden has no choice but to bring Rachel along, introducing her to Cecilia as a family friend who needs a place to stay. Aiden is betting on Rachel after 5 years of captivity, being too brainwashed and fearful to attempt to escape. But Rachel is a fighter and a survivor, and recognizes Cecilia might just be the lifeline she has waited for all these years. As Rachel tests the boundaries of her new living situation, she begins to form a tenuous connection with Cecilia. And when Emily, a local restaurant owner, develops a crush on the handsome widower, she finds herself drawn into Rachel and Cecilia's orbit, coming dangerously close to discovering Aiden's secret. Told through the perspectives of Rachel, Cecilia, and Emily, The Quiet Tenant explores the psychological impact of Aiden's crimes on the women in his life, and the bonds between those women that give them the struggle to fight back. Both a searing thriller and an astute study of trauma, survival, and the dynamics of power, The Quiet Tenant is an electrifying debut thriller by a major talent. And so far, those words are so true. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying that it's told from the perspective of the women and never him. I'm enjoying the story so far. So as I get through that, I will keep you updated when I finish it, of course, in my next update. I'm also reading God Still Don't Like Ugly by Mary Monroe, which, like I said, is book 2 in the God series. And it says, in this haunting and powerful new novel, national best-selling author Mary Monroe revisits Annette Good, Rhoda Nelson, and the other unforgettable characters of God Don't Like Ugly. After a 5-year separation, Annette is ready to take tentative steps to reestablish her friendship with Rhoda, but has her troubled girlhood companion come to terms with her past? I started it. Again, it's really good. I will give full updates later, my full review and everything later when I finish it. The New Neighbor. This one I started. This one was really is so good. I am on page 52 right now. 53. And this is, I'm enjoying. This is about a man who recently loses his wife again, but on the day of her funeral, he finds out that he just happened to win the lottery. So, like, on one hand, the most tragic thing has happened to him, and then on the other hand, one of the most awesome things has also happened to him. Well, honey, also, he begins to get these letters when he, hold on, let me not jump myself. Right after they win the lottery, on the same day of the funeral and all that, right afterwards, not long afterwards, they of course do what lotto winners do and buy a nice big house. And they move into that house, and that's when everything for him kind of really hits the fan, because he's not coping with everything well. He doesn't cope with things well. And I am interested in seeing what all happens to him and his kids in this new house. He's getting these letters. That's what I was going to say. So after he moved into the house, he starts to get these letters from these people called Those Who Watch. Is that the name of the? We Who Watch. And they tell his ass to stay put. They said, you better not think of, in fact, we insist upon it. Don't think about leaving. This house needs you. We'll be in touch soon. What you mean the house needs me? I don't like that. What you mean I can't leave? I want to know. I want to know what happens, baby. So I'm reading it, and I'm loving it so far. Again, this is another good, easy read where the words are fun on the page. And then lastly, but certainly not least, I'm reading on my Kindle. I'm reading digitally, my ebook, I should say, like an ebook. I'm reading The Miracle of Our Universe, A New View of Consciousness, God, Science, and Reality. So yeah, if you wanna, I'm not gonna kind of get into the synopsis of that because that's more of a personal read, but I am reading that one. So yay. Lastly, the next thing I wanted to talk about was what I'm going to read. Now, I'm not going to read the blurbs or the synopsis for these books because this, put this back away. Excuse me. This pile is tentative. It may change. The only thing that I am for certain going to read, and this is all of them. So no, it might change. But I am gonna for certain read The Long Walk because by Stephen King. I've already started it. I'm already almost 100 pages in. It's really good. So The Long Walk by Stephen King. I have also The Doctor Is In by Carl Weber. Into the Darkest Corner by Elizabeth Hayes, and I was so excited. I'm so happy that I had this book and I'm ready to read it next because somebody said that this is very similar to Until Your Mind, the book that I just got done reading. And so when I looked, I was like, oh, it's similar to Until Your Mind. Yes, yes, yes. So I looked it up on Thrift Books and it said that I already have it, and I was like, yes. So I went over to my little library, and that was actually, it worked out because that ended up being the perfect opportunity for me to organize my bookshelf. I had thrillers mixed up with fantasy, mixed up with urban fiction, mixed up with Wayne Dyer and Stephen King. And honey, it was a whole lot of foolishness. So I needed to organize my bookshelf, and that's what I did. I kind of put all of my fantasy on one side, all of my thrillers and my urban fiction on the other side. So that worked out, and I found my next read, and I'm so excited about it. So it's Into the Darkest Corner by Elizabeth Hayes. She's also who wrote Human Remains that I read last year. So I like that book. I like Until Your Mind. I'm pretty sure and hoping that I will like Into the Darkest Corner too. Also, I have A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. Can't wait to get into this. I've been kind of like flipping through it and just kind of reading here and there certain little things. Oh, and it seems so interesting and it's grabbing my attention. Can't wait to get into this one after The Miracle of Our Universe. And then Wellness Your Way by Donna Hamilton, MD. I like it, and it's nice and thin. It's not a big read. Something that I can kind of maybe relax to and read in the bathtub or something like that. As I love me a nice, easy wellness read. You know what I mean? Something that talks about different kinds of self-care schedules and self-care things. It's always fun. I love a cute, thin self-care, take care of yourself book. Yay. And then I also have, last but certainly not least, How to Really Love Your Teenager. I have, by Ross Camel. I have a soon-to-be teenager. I have a teenager already and a soon-to-be teenager. So I'm going to be having a couple of teenagers really soon. So I would love to get into this. And I was reading some of the titles, some of the chapter titles in the beginning of the book, and they seem really interesting. It's like some things that I really would like to read and to learn about. So I'm super excited about this. So yay, well, that's it. That's the end of everything. I spoke about all that I wanted to. Let me make sure I go over my notes and make sure that I mentioned everything I wanted to. Yep, I did. All right. I guess I will see you all next time. Be well and take care of yourselves.